All right. So we're in the Sparklab. I've got Ian here with me. We're going to do an interview. This iPad is recording Ian, and then I will be out here. I'm going to close the door. And I'll be out here on this side. Ian's inside, and then he'll be able to hear me through that mic. I'm going to set my phone down here. And we'll do the interview from here. All right. Let's try this. What's up? Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. Let's do it.
Alrighty. I'm here with Mr. Beamer, the Sparklab teacher.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. So just to start off, my first question is how has your English background helped you in Spark?
That's a good question. I'd say a lot of the units that we have like storytelling elements to them, specifically the ones that have like the Greek mythology. A lot of the game development units have like elements of like plot, setting, conflict, stuff like that. So I think knowing about that as a former English teacher helps when students have questions about like how they should create a level or design a character.
Right.
That helps out a lot. So.
Okay. My second question is, what are some things you enjoy about Spark, as this is your second year, right?
Yeah, this is the second year. I think my favorite thing is that students have more freedom in here, I think, than other classes. When I was teaching English, we had the freedom to do some fun things, but like at the end of the day, like we had standards. I had standards that I had to teach, like for the test. So, and there are standards in the Sparklab, like there are CTE, computer science standards that are tied into all of the units. But as far as like students having the choice of what they want to learn versus what I had to teach them, like the difference is pretty night and day. And I think students are way more eager to want to learn things in here because it's self-paced and they kind of have that freedom.
Right.
So.
Okay. What are some things you miss about being an English teacher?
That's another good question. I do miss like reading texts like with groups of students. We did a couple of various texts throughout the years that I think back on. Like we did Lord of the Flies with one of my classes. They really liked that. And then poetry, like a lot of students don't like poetry because they think that it's just like sappy, like sad, like romance poems. But if you listen to music every day, like you listen to poetry because like music is poetry. So like I think the poetry unit is one thing that I miss, but we can still tie that stuff in the Sparklab. Like if people are doing a unit on game creation, like you can write a script that has like music that is a poem. So but I'd say poetry and then just certain short stories and books that we read. I do miss that element of being an English teacher. So.
Okay, so what motivated you to become a Spark teacher when the opportunity presented itself?
Excellent. Another excellent question. You're coming up with really good questions. I'd say so right around COVID, I think it was right before COVID actually, we got iPads here on campus, 1-to-1, meaning every student had their own iPad. And that kind of, I saw almost like a spark of like electricity and excitement on campus with the iPads. Like students were like designing some really cool things with different apps on their iPads. When it was time for students to do projects, they were using Keynote or iMovie, and like so seeing kids get excited about technology made me excited about implementing technology in my English classes. And then I taught the English 2 EOC for 4 years. Kind of got tired of teaching to a test because like I said, we had standards that we had to teach. And really the last month of being an English teacher, like in prepping for an EOC, is only test prep, and it gets boring, honestly. Yeah. So like I kind of got bored with it. My test scores were good, but like I got tired of like just teaching to the test. So I contacted our central office and just let them know that like, hey, I want to do something with technology. Like I want to do something CTE related. Do I need to go back to school to get my CTE certification? And they're like, yes. But we also have this opportunity called SparkNC that we're thinking about bringing to campus, and we need someone to run the Sparklab. So if you're interested in that, then you should apply for it, and we'll see what happens. And I applied and got the job. So it was just really good timing. But yeah, I think I love it. It's completely different than a normal teaching job in all of the best ways possible. So I've really enjoyed it the first 2 years.
Okay, so when you're recruiting kids to join Spark, why should they join Spark?
Did you write these questions?
Yeah.
These are really good questions. Okay, why should they join Spark? I think the first selling point for me whenever I'm talking to a student about Spark is like the concept of self-paced. Like a lot of students, they hear self-paced and they think Apex, right? They're like, I don't want to be in Apex. Apex is boring. A lot of students that, are put in Apex, they have these negative thoughts about like what a self-paced course is like. So I don't ever want to compare SparkNC to Apex because it's not that, but there is some value in the self-paced mode of learning, and I think it's a model that allows for a lot of students to be successful in something that they might not have originally been successful in. So for example, like coding, if you go to a coding class, you're on a timeline, right? Like you have 90 days or like 1 semester to learn how to code, and then you're done, right? Mm-hmm. SparkNC is different in that like you could sign up on day 1. Maybe you kind of are interested in coding, but you're like kind of scared of it because it's intimidating. You get your feet wet a little bit, you try it out a little bit, you kind of like it, and then you switch to a different unit, you do something else, you come back to coding. And if you continue to come back to coding, what does that mean? It means that you are actually interested in it and you actually want to learn it versus being forced to learn it. Mm-hmm. So I think the main reason I would encourage students to sign up for SparkNC is because it allows you to experiment with topics related to technology that you might not feel super comfortable with, but that's the whole point, is like you can learn a little bit about it. If it's scary or if it's too intimidating, you don't have to learn it. Or if it turns out that it's not as scary as intimidating as you originally thought, then it's like, oh, this is cool. Like I can continue to evolve and learn more in that particular topic. So,
okay, so let's just say the kids you did recruit, they joined Spark. You kind of answered it a little bit, but what will the kids get out of Spark?
So this is a good question. I'm going to try to formulate this answer correctly. I don't want students just to sign up for Spark to get a credit. That's not the point. Like, yes, the credit is like a benefit, right? Like you get a general elective credit for taking Spark. But if you're just signing up for Spark to get an elective credit, you're signing up for the wrong reason. The main reason I want you to sign up is so that students have that flexibility. Like it's a truly risk-free learning environment where your GPA is not affected. If you were to not get the credit, like for example, you are in here right now, if you don't get the credit by December when classes, when next semester begins, you're still enrolled, so you can still work next semester. So like the concept of, not only the units and stuff being flexible, but the timeline also being flexible, I think is like a really important concept for students to know. But the main thing I want students to get out of SparkNC is like just different learning experiences that they would that they could not access outside of the Sparklab. You can go on YouTube and you can certainly learn a lot of the things that we do in here on YouTube, like coding, game development. But as far as having access to like, high-end like computer PCs that run these programs like Unreal Engine and Unity and Construct and all these different coding programs. When students sign up for SparkNC, they're given all the tools. They just have to find out what's the right way for them to use them. Right. And the cool thing is, everyone in this room is going to use these tools differently. Like you are one of the first people that have really utilized this this podcast booth, right? Right. But these tools are here, so if someone wants to use them, they have all these tools at their disposal. So.
Okay, so I'm going to kind of dive into more personal questions. Okay. So let's just, before you went to college, were you considering a different career path or a different major?
I love that you asked this question because I'm blessed that both of my parents went to college. Mm-hmm. And so, growing up, I always knew like I had to go to college. Like it was just expected that I was going to go to college. But I think for me, like, I didn't really know why I wanted to go to college. I just knew that it was expected of me to go to college. So I think if I could do it differently, I think I would go back and do a year of like community college to kind of see what I was interested in. I've always been good at writing, but I don't like writing for a job. Because have you ever like been good at something and like someone tells you to do it and then you're like, you don't like doing it anymore because someone's forcing you to do it?
Yeah.
So like I was good at writing, but when it came to like writing for a job, you're being told what to write and how to write, and that took away like the freedom of expression for me. So to answer your question, I think I had intentions of doing something tech related, but I didn't think I was smart enough like to go into like to work for Apple or to work for like a computer company.
Right.
I didn't really know how to code. Back when I graduated, coding was like you had to go to like a community college or something to learn how to do that. So I ended up studying English, and then I got a minor in digital language, English language and digital media, which is like grant writing and a lot of like technical writing, which is great. But if I could do it again, I think I would go back and like if I had a program like this, I think I would have gone to work at like a tech company or like at least attempted to do that because I would have tried to learn coding in high school or learn something like that. So I'm glad that y'all have access to this because I think the whole purpose of this program is for y'all to, some of you who don't know what you want to do, to maybe try to find something tech related that you want to do. So.
Okay, so what did you like most about your major?
I did love being an English major. I loved being an English major because most of my college courses, like once you get into your major, like your first couple years of college, you're doing your gen ed stuff. So you have like, PE in college and you have like science classes. Once you pass those, you really dive into your major. And a lot of my higher level English classes were based on like discussion. So we would have a reading outside of class. We would go to class and we would do what you and I are doing right now. We would talk about it. You would hear other people's opinions, other people's thoughts about the reading. And it enabled me to become like a more critical thinker of things. So I think that was one of the most useful tools that I got from being an English major, as well as like public communication, like just learning how to talk to people.
Right.
Learning how to do public speaking, like stuff like that. That was really beneficial, especially now that I'm a teacher. Like getting up and talking in front of people is what I do like for a living. So like, so that was one of my favorite things about being an English major. Okay,
so what would your advice be for people who wants to do your major?
So if someone wanted to be an English major, my advice to them would be look at the job market that is available to people who graduate with an English degree. I don't mean that in like a negative way. I just mean like if you're going to major in English or if you're going to major in anything, no matter what you major in, look at the potential jobs that are available to folks that have gone through that program and who have gotten those degrees. Because it might be narrower than you think, or it might be even wider than you think.
Right.
So like, and the cool thing is about college is like you can major and minor in something. So I majored in English, but my minor was in English language, digital media, and technical writing, which I think that side, like my minor, I think actually benefited me more in a job setting than my major did. But you can combine, like you can take different majors and minors and stuff like that. So,
yeah.
But my advice would be do your research on the job market. And if you don't know what you want to do for a job right out of college, that's not a big deal, but at least know what your options are.
Right. Okay, so this is my last question and kind of ending it off on a fun note.
Okay.
What did you like most about college? What was the funnest part?
The socialization.
Yeah.
Like the socializing and meeting new people, being on a huge college campus that has a ton of people that you can get to meet and interact with, and definitely the social aspect of it was for sure my favorite part of it. So and then the flexibility, the schedule's so different. Like most freshmen in college will have like a typical like 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Most of their classes are kind of in that range. As you get deeper and deeper into your major, like I think my last year of college, I had like a 10 a.m. class, a 12 p.m. class, and then like a 7 p.m. class. So like from noon to 7 p.m., I could do whatever I wanted to, right? Like I could study. If I felt prepared and I had studied enough, I could go to the gym. I could go hiking. Like I could go eat. Like I could sleep. Like just the flexibility, I think. It's so different than high school where you have to be on from 8 to 4 p.m. In college, you get so many breaks depending on how your schedule's set up. So the social aspect and then also the schedule is kind of a little more free. So.
Okay, well, that's the end of my questions and the end of the interview. And I appreciate you for answering my questions. And, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, those are really great questions, and I'm impressed at the way that you wrote those. So very good job.
Thank you.
All right, let's get this video together and see if we can get this audio set up.
Alrighty.
Give a thumbs up to that camera real quick. All right, cool. Let's check it out.